What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mondays with Vish. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Vish Kumaran. The 49ers have wrapped up really the first wave of free agency, but they're still making moves. They signed a strong safety this morning, Tavon Wilson. They still have a bunch of their own free agents out there and a little bit more cap space to spend, but we're going to take stock of where the Niners are right now. So we're going to look back and then look ahead. So I just want to bring Vish on and hear what he thinks. I know what I think. Vish, what do you think of the free agency so far? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Big thumbs up. Big thumbs up. Okay. And I've been kind of checking out your screen. I always do a little bit of scouting on you the week before just to know where your head's at so that I can come on here and disagree with you. And I think the big thing that you've been missing this entire offseason, and the reason, like, you've kept harping on, well, how have they gotten better? Well, I think we all thought before this offseason that they were going to get worse. There was no scenario that anyone laid out with the 49ers before this offseason that included re-signing Trent Williams, re-signing Jason Verrett, signing Alex Mack, signing Kyle Juszczyk, and keeping DJ Jones. There was no scenario that people thought all five of these players were going to return. And lo and behold, all five are back. What they've done is phenomenal. And I think the DJ Jones keep is actually really underrated, because I think DJ Jones is one of the better players on the team, and it's been one of the better kept secrets on the team. I think that he is a 3-down player, which often gets overlooked. This is not a 2-down-1 technique. He's an explosive pass rusher. So I think he's a good keep because their defensive line is going to be deep again, which is awesome. I love the signing of Alex Mack. I love the leadership he brings. I love the
Tart's back.
Tart is back.
Tart is back. So hold on. Why don't we put this on hold and talk about Tart real quick? And we just so happen to have that ready. Thoughts on the 49ers re-signing Jaquiski Tartt? That's just good luck. So what do you think? Niners re-signing Jaquiski Tartt. What do you think?
I think it's a great move. I talked about this before. I think keeping him was huge. I think this was the one position that they didn't have set starters in. And now bringing back Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt, I think it's one of the best safety tandems in the NFL. A lot of Niners fans seem to hate Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt, but I've outlined many a times how I feel they're very good and all of that. So, I mean, I can get into it right here, but I think this is a great move for the Niners. I don't think Tarvarius Moore could have started next year. I really don't. Not with the way he played last year and not with the way he played in 2019. It's funny to me because a lot of people hate on Marcel Harris, right? They say Marcel Harris takes bad angles to the football. They say Marcel Harris makes mistakes in coverage. You know who does those same exact things at a more increased rate, Grant, than Marcel Harris? Tarvarius Moore. There's a reason Marcel Harris has played over him over the last 2 years, and it's because of that. So I didn't think that there was any way they could have Marcel Harris as their starting safety next year with Jimmy Ward. Keeping Jaquiski Tartt was huge for the 49ers, and I think it just goes to show, like, again, this offseason, they're able to bring everybody back. And look, were they going to make their team a lot better? I don't think they had the cap room. I don't think there were the available free agents for them to do it, but they had the opportunity for their team to get a lot worse. And they managed to not get a lot worse. This team is still deep. It's still stacked, and they basically got 2 years right here. These are their 2 years. They've gone all in on older players, and these are the 2 years that it's going to happen.
Well, let's stick with Tart real quick, and then we'll go back to the big picture because that was interesting. I wanted to hear what you had to say. And I just had not rebuttals, but questions, just because that's usually how we talk. So with Tart, I know you think he's terrific. I think he's terrific, too. I've always liked him. I mean, the issue with him is durability. He's almost got like a Jimmy Garoppolo-esque track record in terms of missing. It's nothing personal. It's just that's why he's, I think, accepting what he's accepting. I'm guessing that he's not taking a huge deal from the 40. I doubt it's $5 million. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah,
I doubt it's $5 million.
I don't think it's a big deal. I think everybody in the 49ers secondary's opportunity for a large deal went down when Jason Verrett re-signed for 1 year, $5.5 million.
Yes.
Because he was
that's a big chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not backloaded. It's $5 million. Yeah.
And it's not just that. Like, I think Anthony Harris signed for $5 million. If Jaquiski Tartt wanted to come back to the 49ers, there's no way they're going to. This is the Mike Iupati, Joe Staley situation from 2014, I want to say. It was the dilemma Balky had. If he wanted to retain Mike Iupati, he was going to have to make him the highest paid offensive lineman on the team. And there's no way that he could have done that with Joe Staley as their franchise cornerstone player. And Jason Verrett is not their franchise cornerstone player, but he plays the premium position in the secondary, and he's the best player at playing that premium position in cornerback. So there's no way they could have re-signed Verrett, Tart, K'Wan Williams, any of these guys for more money than what they signed Jason Verrett for. That's just bad team business. So I think that's what happened, where all these guys, I think their markets to return to the 49ers got cut short by Verrett not signing for a large deal.
Also, I'm guessing the Niners, have had an offer on the table for Tart for a while. It was probably less than he would have expected, but it's a weird year, as everyone's seeing. There's less of a market for guys of his age with his history, and he probably felt like, you know what? It's just 1 year. Go back, team I start on, a defense that's good. I can always enter the market next year if I stay healthy. So it seems to me like I wasn't expecting him to accept this, and I thought maybe he'd get something better around the league. It didn't happen for him. Good for the 49ers. This is great. I don't have any problem with the Niners giving Jaquiski Tartt maybe $1, $2, $3 million, something like that, especially if there's some incentives involved.
It's really a win-win for the 49ers, because if Tart plays only 8 games again and he gets hurt again, which knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen. But unfortunately, if it happens to him, he's still going to give him 8 games of starter play, and they're not going to be paying him a lot of money, and he's going to be totally worth those 8 games.
And remember, in the last couple of years, he was making like $6-7 million a year. So this is a big come down.
And if Tart plays at the level that he's capable at playing for 16 games, well, then the Niners just got one of the best safeties in the NFL for very little money. That's what we're guessing. That's what we're anticipating. And
just guessing.
Tart is going to go command big money this offseason because, again, I've outlined it, and I'll say it one more time. Look, Tart's body weight is 6'2", 220. You don't see 6'2", 220 safeties play the post safety in a single high defense. He's capable of doing that. Let's compare. Like, the Niners don't run the Seattle scheme anymore, but when they ran the Seattle scheme, which was the match cover 3 zone, let's compare the safeties with his body type. Cam Chancellor, Keanu Neal, Jamal Adams is doing it now. All these guys, none of these guys played single high in that defense. They didn't play the Earl Thomas role. They played the Cam Chancellor role.
And it's important to do because Ward is down in the slot in coverage.
Right.
On third down. Yeah.
Right. So these are the things that I think people miss. Because, okay, he's in the post. When's the last time you've seen somebody catch a post on the 49ers when Jaquiski Tartt's on the field?
Also, the best play of his career is still him playing center field with that one-hand interception against Carolina in 2017.
You think that's
one of them? It's top 5.
You think better than the DK Metcalf? The DK Metcalf play was insane. Anyway, he's huge because what he brings to this Niners defense is versatility, and that's what DeMeco Ryans. For a new defensive coordinator, when you have 2 players in Ward and Tart, when they're on the field, you can ask them to do anything and everything. It makes it a lot easier, in my opinion, to call a defense because you can get more exotic because hey, Tart can get that guy in man. Ward can get that guy in man. And those kinds of things are going to make this – I think this defense is going to be very good next year. Health is obviously the biggest question mark. It's always the question mark with the 49ers. But if they can be reasonably healthy, I think this – and DeMeco Ryans is what we think he is. I think this can be a top 10 defense once again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get back to your point about your broader take on free agency. Explain again, start from the beginning if you wouldn't mind. Why is this a thumbs up free agency? I'm going to give you the full screen treatment.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. I'm going to give you the full
screen treatment for a minute. So go for it. Explain to me why this is a thumbs up, because I've been really complaining about it, and I think people are tired of it and would like to hear it.
Yeah, it's a huge – so I outlined, right, there was no scenario that that people thought the Niners would bring back those 5 players. Let me move my camera this way. See my dresser. So there was no scenario where anybody thought the Niners were going to bring back those 5 players, right? That's special. That, to me, in and of itself is great cap management. It's a great job of them pivoting mid-season, creating all that cap room and doing that. And number 2, I feel like, look, you've harped on the offensive line question all offseason, okay? And there's one thing with the offensive line that the Niners have told you. It's been right in front of you the whole time. I made this point on last Saturday when we streamed, and it's something that's been right in front of us. Every single offensive lineman on this team complained about the fact that they were seeing fronts that they hadn't seen all season. They kept saying that. Yeah. And when you see fronts that you haven't seen all season and your center makes your line calls, then your team is obviously going to make mistakes on, well, where should we slide protection? What should we do here? Based on all of those things, that hurts your defense. That hurts your offensive line. Alex Mack is not going to be able to make those mistakes. Even if there's fronts that the Niners didn't prepare for, Alex Mack has probably seen them. He's a Hall of Fame center. And I think the comparison is, if you remember what John Sullivan, Hall of Fame type center, did for the Rams when he came there in 2017, 2018, what he did for Goff, what he did for McVay, what he did for that offense, that's exactly what Alex Mack is going to do. I think locking up Trent Williams is huge. I think Trent Williams is a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer. So I think that's massive. And Grant, the other problem we've discussed, and we talked about this, is the lack of leadership with Joe Staley gone. And everybody who dislikes Trent Williams said he's not a leader. He's not Joe Staley. My question was, how do you expect this guy to be a leader when he doesn't even have a contract? He hasn't played the last season, and he's on a new team getting acclimated. Well, now he has his long-term contract. Now he's acclimated. Now he's set here. So now you have Trent Williams and Alex Mack. I don't think leadership is going to be a problem next year. I think Alex Mack will bring leadership. I think Trent Williams is going to be a leader. I don't get why people are upset about both of those signings. I think they were phenomenal moves by the 49ers. And the other thing is that I think you have to temper your expectations, okay? It depends what your expectations were for the 49ers coming into this offseason. Like, if you believe that the Niners were going to get Trent Williams, they were going to go get Yannick Ngakoue in a premium pass rusher, they were going to keep Jason Verrett, they were going to sign some big-time corner to match with Jason Verrett, you're nuts. That's not what was going to happen. They had this hand dealt, okay? They were a player in free agency because they managed the cap well throughout the season, and Prague Marate does a hell of a job managing his contracts, to the sense that the Niners never have to be cutting a lot of players to be able to manage the cap in a situation like this. So because of that, what they were able to do, Grant, is that they were able to find and create a situation where they're going to be bringing back a very, very good football team next year. Now, how far they go with that football team, well, that's a question mark on the quarterback position and Jimmy Garoppolo's health. But everything around Jimmy is going to be, once again, pretty damn good, and they didn't lose a lot of assets doing it.
Okay, well, that was very compelling, persuasive. Let me just tell you my concerns, I guess, questions, and tell me what you think. So I didn't think they could bring all these players back. I was very pessimistic. We talked about it for weeks. I always thought they'd have to choose between this guy and that guy. It'd be impossible. You got to get rid of Jimmy. The way they finessed it, the way they created space with D Ford, it was very impressive. Very impressive. They definitely ended up creating much more cap space than I thought they'd have, and especially relative to the rest of the league, it put them in a power position. My question here is how they chose to use their cap space. They chose to bring it back, run it back, bring back Tart, bring back Trent, everyone. And the two new additions that matter, really, are Samson Ebukam, who I really like. I mean, he's a hell of a player, and he's 26. So I like that. I think they upgraded. He kind of seemed like he replaces D Ford, who didn't play last year. And
I don't think he replaces D Ford. Nobody's
he gives you something.
He approximates him.
He gives you, that's what I meant. He fills that spot in the rotation, and he fills the spot that Kerry Hyder was giving you. I like the signing. The other signing, Alex Mack, you laid out a good point. He is almost 36. When the Rams got Sullivan, he was 31. So my only question with Mack is, where is he at? What does he have left? Because I haven't watched that much of him from last year.
Okay.
But all of the advanced metric sites, Sports Info Solutions, PFF, we're down on him. So I'm just curious to see what he has left. I do think he'll be an upgrade from whatever they had last year.
I think that was
a great point. Why did they choose to spend their cap space on bringing it all back as opposed to, because there's only two real new additions to the team?
Right, but my question is, what could they have brought? Right, that's the big question.
You have to lose people if you want new people. You have to choose. Yeah.
If like Alex Mack is the best they could have gotten, and he's still, in my opinion, he's still a very good center. Now, he's not the best center in football definitively like he was 4 years ago, but he's still a very good one. He's a top 10 center. And the two centers they could have gotten, Corey Linsley and then the Rodney Hudson shock, those two guys were priced out of their range. There's no way the 49ers could have made a move on either of those two guys.
Well, if you won't bring back someone like Trent Williams, that creates other options. You could sign a center.
I've seen that. And I saw a scenario where people were talking Alejandro Villanueva. I saw a scenario on Twitter where people were talking Riley Reif. That's mind-numbing to me. Riley Reif and Alejandro Villanueva combined with Linsley do not compare to Trent Williams, Alex Mack. The difference between Trent Williams and Riley Reef, and the difference between Trent Williams, especially current Alejandro Villanueva, who cannot run block, the most important thing that the Niners look for in their offensive linemen is like the difference between I don't even know. Give me a vast. It's the Grand Canyon. It's massive. I think that needs to be put in home, because I don't think people realize how good Trent Williams is. Now, the questions with Trent Williams are outside of football, right? Their age and their and it's health, right? He doesn't
Price.
he hasn't
Price.
I just think this is Walter Jones, this is Jonathan Ogden, this is Tyron Smith, this is David.
They never made money like this,
I'd
though.
pay him. David Bakhtiari just did.
Well, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. How old is David Bakhtiari?
I think he's 29 or 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, here's the way I look at it. Here's the way I look at it with Trent Williams. It's surprising that the highest paid offensive lineman is 33. Usually someone getting that record kind of a contract would be 27, 28. And I know he has a sterling reputation, so I get it. And when the Chiefs went after him, I was like, okay, I mean, they just lost the Super Bowl because they couldn't protect Mahomes. I get the logic. It's like, well, maybe if we get Trent Williams, that's the difference, and we're back and we win the Super Bowl. Even though I think I would say probably don't do that. Like, you could get another improvement, but I get it where the Chiefs are coming from. They're looking for that last piece. Okay, the Niners got Trent Williams. He's back on the team. Where are they? Where do they stand? Where do they stand now?
They still have one more big question mark to answer, and they haven't answered that question on who's their quarterback going to be next year.
See, that's the thing. If you have Mahomes and you're one offensive lineman away, go for it. But if you got Jimmy, then like, what's the point?
The question is, we don't even know if Jimmy's the guy, right? Because they haven't made moves to confirm that Jimmy's the guy, but they also haven't made moves to say he's not. So that entire thing is shady. But I think the rest of this roster, I don't think people realize how good this defensive line is going to be next year, Grant. Like, because I know there's a lot of players on this defensive line you like. I know you're a DJ Jones fan. I know you're a Kevin Givens. I know you're a Kevin Givens fan. I know you like Street.
Bosa is a hell of a player if he's good to go. We don't really know what's up with that.
Right. So you have Bosa, Street. So, I mean, this offensive line is going to go about
Ekubam, or whatever you call him.
Right. Samson Ebukam.
He calls himself Sosa?
Yes, Bosa and Sosa.
Yeah.
So I just think there's going to be a ton of depth across that defensive line. So is it going to be as good as 2019? Hell no. No way. 2019 defensive line, one of the great defensive lines in NFL history. Is it going to be a top 5 defensive line in the NFL? Absolutely, it will be.
Let me just ask you point blank, because I guess what I'm trying to say is, okay, you brought back Trent Williams. That's a big move. That's making a 33-year-old left tackle the highest paid offensive lineman of all time is a move that a team that expects to contend makes. So my question to you, Vish, is do you expect this team to really contend next year?
I have to wait and see, but I absolutely I believe open-minded. Look, I believe in Kyle Shanahan, and I believe in this roster. Now, do I have some questions about the quarterback? I absolutely do have some questions about the quarterback. But yes, I think that I don't think this is a run it back, keep it the same situation. Like, I truly believe when you look at the rest of this market, outside of Ebukam, who I thought there were better edge rushers, but not at the same price as Ebukam, I don't think the Niners had an opportunity to get anybody better. Like, the left tackles in this market, Trent Williams, I don't know why people don't get this. This is a first ballot Hall of Famer. You're not going to get better than a first ballot Hall of Famer. I said this on my stream a couple of days ago. There are some players where I'm a big, Grant, you know this, I'm a big value chart guy. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of the value chart. I'm a big fan of you pay these positions. You only pay these people this much. But there's certain players that are to hell with the value chart. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Julio Jones, those kinds of players. This is one of them, Grant. I don't think people realize, like, David Bakhtiari is as good as this guy as a pass blocker. This guy is the best run blocker in the NFL. David Bakhtiari can't even run block like him. And David Bakhtiari is going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think people realize how special this guy is. And that's why, 23 million, it's really a 3-year deal. The 3 years after that are really up in the air. And those 3 years, I think this is how the Niners structure their deals, right? Parag is very good at this. You get paid when the Niners are convinced that you're going to be on the team, right? So they're convinced that Trent Williams is going to be their left tackle for the next 3 years. So they know they've kind of paid him that way. After that, it's up in the air. His future's up in the air. And if he's playing great, then sure, we're willing to pay you. We can restructure you, all of that. But I think the deal was good enough. I just think it had to be done.
Can we agree that ultimately the way this deal will be judged, for it to be a success, he'll have to play 95% of his games the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And the Niners will have to basically be in the playoffs for this to be worth it.
Oh, I see the playoffs thing. I mean, when you're talking worth, like they weren't gonna if like okay, what's the point of saving money? Like by not signing him, it's not like they had a better he gives them the best chance to make the playoffs. Now, if they make bad moves at other spots, that's their fault. That's not Trent Williams' fault, and that's not their fault for paying Trent Williams. It's like the Carolina Panthers, right? Carolina Panthers paid Christian McCaffrey what, $16 million? Like they had to pay Christian McCaffrey. He's their franchise player. Cam Newton just walked. There's business reasons and there's all kinds of reasons like that. Now, if they don't make the playoffs once with Christian McCaffrey making $16 million and Christian McCaffrey is still balling out, how is it his fault that they didn't make the playoffs? Or why is the deal a flop if they didn't make the playoffs? They wouldn't have allocated that money anywhere else.
Just because it just seems to me that you're so all in with so much money tied into a guy who's 33, 34, 35 moving forward. The alternative would be to, go younger, develop someone, build for a future. So if you can't at least be in the playoffs, it's not Trent Williams' fault. It's like it didn't make sense for you.
Well, okay, but if they can't be in the playoffs, then that means that this offseason it just wasn't about signing Trent Williams. They shouldn't have signed Alex Mack. They shouldn't have brought back Brett, who's 30 plus. They should have cut Garoppolo, and they should have just blown it all up.
And get a little younger, but they don't. That's not what they want to do.
That's not an option for this coach right now.
Okay.
That's not an option for this GM right now. They couldn't have done that.
Okay. I was thinking maybe they could because they got those extensions, but really, even if with an extension, you don't have that much job security in the NFL. Coming off a 6 and 10 year, you gotta win. The expectation is to win.
Grant, he's been here for what, 4 years, and 3 of them have been losing seasons.
Yeah, he's got to win.
Even with the exception, it's tough to justify.
Real quick, there was a question I lost, a $5 donation saying, do the Niners need a number 1 receiver? In your opinion?
No. They haven't.
I like Richie James too as a number 3 receiver. I really don't, but we're going to get into what the Niners are going to do in the top 3 rounds, or what we guess. Joel says, with Jimmy at the helm and this new and improved offensive line followed up with a great defense, if they stay healthy, do they have a chance for the Super Bowl? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the question, Vish. If they stay healthy with what they currently have, Jimmy included, do they have a chance at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but I think, in my opinion, like 8 teams have a chance at the Super Bowl.
Fair.
There's a lot that needs to go on to even predict that.
There was one more, someone informing us that the Niners re-signed Tart. Yes, they did. Vish is very enthusiastic about it. I like the value. We talked about it at the beginning. We could hit it again at the end, but for right now, we're going to keep going. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. We're thumbs up on the Tart signing. All right. So you've said very, very good with the offseason. They still have one more thing to do. And it's like been that way for 4 years, kind of. So my question is, are you cool with the patient approach? They still have months. They still have the draft. They still have post June 1. Are you cool with how the Niners have handled things at quarterback, or are you frustrated?
I'm cool to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
I won't be cool if they go into a season with Jimmy Garoppolo and Joe Flacco as their quarterbacks. Like I won't be cool then. That'd be frustrating.
A guy has to have his standards, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm cool to an extent, right? Like if it was me, right, I'm still upset. Like the Matthew Stafford, like the deal going through at the start of the new league year, that's still hurting me, Grant. I still feel pain, You know how much I wanted Stafford, but otherwise, like I haven't seen a genuine option for the 49ers to just say, like, we can cut him at this point and we can move on. And we thought, you and I were of the belief that they needed to cut him because we thought to bring all these guys back, they wouldn't be able to do it with his contract on.
Instead, they got really creative with D Fords.
They managed to do it, right?
Yeah,
they managed to do it.
Yeah.
Now the question is, because the New England Patriots keep calling about Garoppolo still, and the Niners don't seem to make a move on him, but they also don't seem to be making a move to commit themselves to Garoppolo. It leaves the quarterback as still a question mark. Now, with Jimmy Garoppolo, do I still think they could be a playoff team if he starts 17 games? Yes. Do I think there's probably a ceiling to that team just given the way he played last year, which wasn't particularly good, and given what he's shown in 2019 and in the glimpses he's played? Yes, I do think there's a ceiling. I think there's limitations to his ability to play. I think there's limitations to his process. I do have those questions about him, okay? But I think that the last deadline is the draft, because I think the reason the Niners are holding on to him and not taking calls from New England, even though I feel like it's something naturally they should consider just based on their kind of the public perception and how many people have speculated on their quarterback situation. Where there's smoke, there's fires. You have to assume that they're having a conversation about him every day, every week, something like that. That's where I say I think it's the draft. I think they're just waiting to see how it plays out. I think that the reporting on this has been consistent. It's always been they're comfortable going into the season with him. Would they like an upgrade? Yes, but they're comfortable taking into the season with him. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think there's really two things we have to look at. It's the Deshaun Watson situation, which now it feels like with what went on with him and the personal stuff, now that timetable just got shifted. I thought the draft was going to be kind of the timetable, and now that's going to be shifted for a while. And so now
Christopher asking that exact question. Do you think the recent Watson allegations may have thrown this patient process for the 49ers? Yeah, I mean, just kind of throw things off. Yeah.
And then the other one is the draft itself, right? It's whoever they like, whether it's Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Kellen Mond, whoever, Trey Lance, whoever you want in there, whoever they like. I think they're just going to wait to see how that plays out. If it plays out right, they'll get that guy, whether it's Watson or that draft pick, and they'll move forward that way. If it doesn't, then fine. We're okay with running it back with Jimmy. Now, am I really happy about the latter? Not necessarily. Kyle Shanahan has been here 4 years, and I'm a massive Kyle Shanahan fan, and I'm a little disappointed that he hasn't had his guy for any of these 4 years. It's disappointing as a fan, but would I be totally upset? No, I think this is a team that's capable of winning with Jimmy Garoppolo. I just wouldn't put them as a Super Bowl team with him.
Yeah. See, to me, I don't know that they're capable of winning with Jimmy Garoppolo. I know they did it in 2019. I think we've talked about it ad nauseum, what we really feel of Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's what I think his ability to protect himself, his ability to throw out down the field, his ability to move. I question it all. And that's why I think they need to hurry up. And the fact that they missed on some guys, the way I look at it is like, yeah, okay, you re-signed Trent Williams, great, man. You re-signed Jason Verrett, great, man. You have Verrett for 1 year. He could leave next year, or he could not even. If you want to win now, based on the players that you've re-signed, you don't want to waste this year. You want to put your best foot forward, and I don't think they can do it with Jimmy Garoppolo in the sense that I just don't really take them seriously as contenders with Jimmy on the team. I could be wrong. I didn't take him seriously in 2019 either, so I could be wrong. But if they could find a legit upgrade or a lateral move that's cheaper so they could upgrade somewhere else, I think they should do it because I think that they're maybe a little overconfident in themselves and Kyle Shanahan, given what Jimmy is now.
So I don't know if they are. I don't know if they are.
Okay.
Because they paid 3 age 30 plus guys for basically, they're all short-term contracts that are basically saying we're going to try to win the next 2 years, right?
In Verrett's case, like this year.
Yeah, right.
This year, yeah.
So when you have a question, when you have an injury question mark, which he does have, that's where I don't think they can put all their eggs in their basket and say they're going to go all in with this guy. You know what I mean?
That's
they're way too smart
in training camp, like he did last year. Yep.
So if that happens, then what happens? Oh, I was talking about Jimmy.
But Verrett too. I mean, just having Verrett on the team doesn't mean you're necessarily going to have a shutdown corner for 16 weeks.
I mean, yeah. So that's where I think they have something. I think there's a move they're gonna make. Whether it's something I like, whether it's something you'll like, we'll see.
Yeah.
If Jimmy's the starter, then they're gonna. I guess we'll have to go back to the backup quarterback conversation where they're gonna have a competent backup in the case that he goes down, and they can win. I mean, it's complicated, right? We've beat that quarterback
because honestly, they could have had Mitchell Trubisky maybe, and they chose to not go for Mitchell Trubisky. So I'm curious to see what they do with that backup quarterback spot or whatever their plan is, because Trubisky would have been better than I don't know. I mean, $2 million, it would have been a nice little option, actually. But maybe not the best place for him.
He's paid nothing.
So, I mean, I'd like to see their plan be better than that because that was available. It was cheap. Joe Flacco is not a better option than that. So I'm curious to see what they got up their sleeves. Real quick, Vish, pick your favorite pick at 12, your favorite move back, and your favorite trade up. That's asking a lot. We're going to get into the round one right now, though. So hold on. Let's give Vish a second to gather his thoughts. Pat says, I love your dad. I think you are a fan. You don't know me like that. I used to be, though. Draft day projection, first round quarterback, second edge, third cornerback, fourth guard. Grant, you're always wrong. Vish, do you agree? Well, I think
Which one do I agree with? Actually, Grant's right sometimes.
I am
Yeah,
right
for
sometimes.
sure.
That's the nicest thing you can say about me today. I'm getting roasted on Twitter today, but don't go on Twitter. It's a terrible place. You don't want to see it. Okay, hold on. I actually want to do some predictions. I think it's kind of fun now that free agency is a weekend to just kind of sort of read the tea leaves of what the Niners could do. So let's start in round one. Where do we think this is headed at pick 12? Pick, you could say a position, a trade up, a trade, whatever you want to say.
So I'm going to say two positions.
Okay, let's do that.
Positions.
Okay.
I'm going to say two positions. Okay. I'm going to say it's going to be cornerback or quarterback. It's going to be one of those two. Because this is the offseason. The Niners have nobody at cornerback. Like,
say it again.
Even if Jason Verrett, corner or quarterback.
Okay.
One of the two backs, corner or quarter.
Yeah.
The edge, to me, I've looked at some of the edge rushers in this draft. I haven't really gone into it and checked them all out. But I don't think there's an edge rusher that's worth taking at pick 12. No way. I don't think so.
Okay.
With the corners, I'm not even necessarily sure there's a corner that you should definitely take at 12. I don't know if I feel that way. I definitely feel that I wouldn't take Patrick Surtain at 12. I'm confident about that one. I'm still I haven't watched Farley enough, and I'm still getting into Horn, but I think those are the three. But basically, I'll say that I'm confident you don't take Surtain at 12. But the thing with the corner or quarterback is that the cornerback position, here's the problem. Even if Jason Verrett balls out this year, this is not a this year move. This is, you need a guy to be your number one corner next year. And Jason Verrett, if he balls out, you're not going to sign him because he's going to get $10 to $12 million somewhere. I can't reiterate this enough. Last year, Jason Verrett did not play like a corner that deserves to be paid $5.5 million this year with up to 6.5. He played like a corner that deserves to be paid $10 to $12 million. There's a massive difference between that. The Niners, because of the COVID-19, because of his injury situation, because basically there's only like 10 teams competing in free agency because the rest of the teams can't do anything because of their cap situations, besides maybe restructure someone to retain their own players. Because of that, the Niners were able to bring him back on a bargain, which was a massive move. But they're not going to be able to get him back again, or at least I'm not going to bet against Parag. That's my guy. But he's not actually my guy. I just like Parag. But I'm not going to bet against him. But realistically, he's not going to come back. So you need a plan A at the number one corner position. And then the other thing is just quarterback. And I think the thing with quarterback is that you just don't know how the board's going to play yet. So you can't go into that draft saying we're going to take a quarterback when you're picking pick 12. The Jets can do that. The Jaguars can do that. The Dolphins can do that if they want to. The Niners can't. You're picking pick 12. You don't know which quarterbacks are going to be there. You don't know which ones are going to fall. You don't know if somebody falls, whether you can go up and get him because another team who originally would like to trade with you might now have a player that fell to them that they would like. So I think that it's going to be corner or quarterback, and it's all going to depend on the way the board falls.
Look, I agree with you that those are positions the Niners should be targeting. I just have a feeling they won't, and I'm usually wrong. Full disclosure, usually wrong. But
you are?
Yeah. Cornerback, the Niners haven't done that in so long. I almost feel like it's an organizational thing to not take a corner in the first round at least. But I have nothing to base that on other than past precedent. So there's that. And there's the fact that all these signings of older players, all these 30-year-olds on one deals, I just feel like at least either starting a rookie quarterback or not spending a first-round pick on a player who can contribute right away. I mean, the Packers did it last year, and you can do it. Teams do it. I just have a feeling the Niners won't. And I don't know what to base that on. I'm just guessing. So I'm thinking based on precedent, it'll be a D end. Of course, it won't be a 12. They'll probably have to trade down, but D end because you don't know what you're going to get even from Nick Bosa.
So the thing with D end is I just think that the investing in that position after you just paid Ebukam and you're maybe waiting on D Ford and Nick Bosa is still, in my opinion, the best player on your team, it just makes no sense. Like, this is the year to take your corner. This is the year. I think this is the year to invest in your secondary, actually, because in the first three rounds, I think we're going to talk about the second round, aren't we? Are we going to talk about the second round?
We are. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I just want to do a baseline. In these first three rounds, I think they need to go corner and safety with either order in those first three rounds, because Jimmy Ward, after this year, 2021, will have one more year on his deal. Jaquiski Tartt, if things go right, is going to get a big contract somewhere. because they're that good players. You need somebody that's going to step in. It's not Tarvarius Moore, that pick. He's got talent, but hasn't refined and he's not polished enough to play there yet. It's Marcel Harris is a good backup. He's not a starting safety. So you need a guy and you have the ultimate luxury where you don't need a guy that needs to play today. The guy just needs to come in and be ready to play next year. So you need that. And then same thing with corner. Emmanuel Mosley, Jason Verrett can get the job done next year. You don't need whoever you pick, even if he's a high pick, to play next year. You just need him to play the year after when the corner position becomes a thing. So I think those are the two positions that they would need to invest with a premium player in one of the first 3 rounds.
All right, let's just hit a couple of these questions first, and then we'll get to round 2. Trey G says, why didn't the Niners restructure Jimmy's contract? It's not like he's live up to it. Round 1, have to be a cornerback. Well, Vish agrees with the second part. The part with restructuring, it means you really have to like the guy like long term, and I don't think the Niners are exactly there.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's why. See, I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo hater. I'm a 49ers fan first. I'm not like Grant. Grant relinquished fandom 15 years ago. I'm still a fan, so I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I've seen the results that. Oh, he relinquished fandom like 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
But so I like the results when he's on the field, but you also have to put your analyst hat on and evaluate him for what he is and be realistic about it. And look, if the 49ers were restructuring his contract and telling you that they weren't searching for an upgrade and not flirting with every quarterback available, we wouldn't be having this topic daily. But because the Niners keep telling you that this is a topic, you have to be honest with what he is and Grant's job is to speculate why they keep having those questions. And why they keep having those questions are right in front of you. And you have to be honest with that. And that's why they haven't touched his contract. That's the reality. Regardless of whether they say he's the starter, I'm sure they like him enough to keep him as the starter next year. They're not viewing him as 100% the guy of the future, because otherwise they would have just touched his contract, now restructured it.
Yeah. Tony asks, can we approximate Kinlaw for Buckner? Who has a higher ceiling, Kinlaw or Vita Vea? Can Kinlaw be to the Niners what Vita Vea is to the Bucs? What do you think?
Okay, I think Kinlaw's projection could be similar to Vita Vea. If you remember, Vita Vea was not a very good player as a rookie. People were killing the Bucs for taking Vita Vea over Derwin James when safety was a massive need and Derwin went crazy. I think Kinlaw's trajectory could be similar to Vita Vea in terms of year 2, year 3. He starts getting much, much better and starts really understanding how to use his special physical gifts. Will he ever be DeForest Buckner? I don't think he'll ever be that polished. I mean, I think DeForest Buckner, maybe there will be some players who think that Javon Kinlaw is better than DeForest Buckner because he's going to do some things better in this scheme than DeForest Buckner. He's going to be a better run defender in this scheme than DeForest Buckner, especially if they play the wide 9, because he's just a mammoth human being who eats up double teams like he's grabbing 2 little children and throwing them around. So he's really good that way. I don't think Vea is exactly a comparison, but I think Vea's growth and trajectory within the league is a good outlook for Kinlaw. Maybe he'd never reach the ceiling Vea reached this year, but I think he's going to be a damn good player. He doesn't have to be DeForest Buckner, right? If the 49ers are able to get him to a second contract and it's not $20 million like DeForest Buckner, instead it's 10 to 12, that means Javon Kinlaw is a good pick. And in terms of value for who they had to sign at the time, it just makes sense.
Well, I think he's always going to be compared to Buckner and to Tristan Wirfs. He's got to come close to those two, I would imagine. But I'm looking at the thing about Vita Vea is he's not necessarily a pass rusher, but he's so special. He's like the most athletic big guy in the league. Right. He came out, I had coaches telling me like, this guy, I've never seen a guy at this size.
Yeah, no, absolutely
he's
not.
350, and I think he probably does a little better than Kinlaw does at 325. So that might be a little ambitious, but he doesn't have to be that good. Vita Vea is great. I think that guy's all
when he plays, he's dominant.
He missed like 11 games last year. Big Boys Climbing on Big Ring says, our only option is to draft a cornerback and run it with Jimmy. And in 2022, cut Jimmy and pay Fred and Bosa. We have no options now, missed on Stafford. Well, I mean, you can always see what happens with Watson. Maybe he'll get exonerated. Maybe it's all nothing. Who knows?
That's one option to look at. And I don't think drafting a QB is a bad option. The rookie quarterback flexibility is the ultimate gift in the NFL. The new wage scale has allowed teams to build stack rosters with the rookie quarterback. Like the Niners the moment they take a rookie quarterback, Grant's question about this being a win now team would go away, because even when they pay Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and stuff, their window will be those 4 years. It's just about taking the right rookie quarterback. That's all.
Quest for Six says, I want Surtain or Waddle at 12. Niners will trade back, take Ojulari. He is D Ford, size, speed, fast, strong hands. Watch Peach Bowl. He also go up front. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to trade down for Ojulari, just based on past precedent. But what do you think? I know you don't like Surtain at 12. I don't like Surtain at 12. What do you think of Waddle?
I like Waddle a lot. This is the closest thing to Tyreek Hill I've ever seen. Like, every speed guy gets compared to Tyreek Hill because of straight line speed, but this is the guy with the agility, the explosion, the acceleration, the ability to, the toughness with the ball in his hands. He's special to me. He's way better than Ruggs from last year. And that's no knock against Ruggs. I liked Ruggs, but I really like Jalen Waddle. But I like when you say they're going to trade down for Ojulari, I really think this team thinks they have a massive diamond in the rough with Samson Ebukam. And I think they think they've got a big-time player at 26 years old. I think they're very excited about him. That's just my guess. And so for that reason, I just don't see a scenario
where can't have enough edge rushers, Vish. No, I'm with they shouldn't. I wouldn't advise them to take a defensive end. I just think they can't help themselves. But you bring up all the right reasons why they shouldn't do it.
Look, the edge rusher, I just don't know. I unless they're just anticipating injuries again, I just don't see a scenario where that guy plays. Because look, Eric Armstead is going to play on the edge on first down. Your interior rotation.
What if Bosa is on a snap count? I mean, he's first year back.
Even then, look at who's still just sitting there. It doesn't seem like he has much of a market. He's only had success with one defensive line coach.
Who?
Mr. Kerry Hyder. I could see him coming back.
Hey, if Jaquiski Tartt just signed a vet minimum, assuming deal, then maybe Kerry Hyder would too, because the dude's 30 and he's not going to get a ton of money from anywhere else, clearly.
Niners still have their mid-level exception. They didn't exercise it on maybe they used it on Tartt, but they didn't exercise it on DJ Jones. I thought they originally did. They have two of those. So
hey, if they sign Hyder, then they probably won't take a defensive end in round one. I don't know. Maybe they'll go offensive line in round one. It just seems like they usually go trenches top 15 if they're not. Usually go trenches top 15. So one of maybe a guard. I don't know.
It's to me, if you have a top 15 pick, you got to go one of the four premium positions. It's got to, and I rank them in this order: quarterback, edge rusher, tackle, corner. Okay, those are the four. If you have a top 15 pick and you're not taking one of those four positions, then I think it's a mistake.
Well, Kevin's saying take J.C. Horn at 12. I'm cool with that if you like corner. And then also you could take, if you really like Rashawn Slater, nothing against Mike McGlinchey, but you could take Slater and trade McGlinchey the way they took McGlinchey and traded Trent Brown. They can do that. They can do that.
Maybe. We'll see. I'm still a big proponent of don't take McGlinchey's fifth-year option and try to extend him now and have a starting right tackle for $5 to $7 million. I love that idea.
If we go into the draft without a backup quarterback, is that a surefire sign we're taking a quarterback in the draft?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think they're going to draft a quarterback in this draft. It just depends on how high. Like, we could see them draft a quarterback in the 4th or 5th round. That guy, like, that's what I don't get. Like, people are like, don't take a quarterback in the 1st. Just get a guy in the 2nd. Get a guy in the 3rd. How many 2nd, 3rd round, 4th round quarterbacks actually end up being your starter or franchise quarterback? Like, people are like, Kyle can't draft quarterbacks because he drafted CJ Beathard. Like, yeah, he loves CJ Beathard, but I also don't think he thought CJ Beathard was going to be his franchise quarterback. Like, if the guy ends up being a competent backup quarterback, it's decent for you, because honestly, it's so finicky with these quarterbacks.
Daryl Hicks says, should the Niners trade back and accrue more day 2 picks and draft Gregory Rousseau? He's going to be a stud. Yeah, they only have really – I mean, if they could get more day 2 picks –
They don't do that, though. They don't do that. They do the one single-spot trade back where John Lynch is a genius because he's not going to draft that guy anyway. But then John Lynch made the draft pick, and, Adam Peters didn't participate in that draft pick. Adam Peters only drafts the guys that end up being good in the late rounds. No, I'm just messing with people. No, I'm just joking. But actually, though, they're not a big trade back team.
No, they're not. It's like – we have a guy, we have a target, we think we can trade down one spot and still get him. All right, let's move on to round 2.
If this was Trader Trent, then we could guarantee a trade back.
Let's move on to round 2. What do you think the 49ers have set up for round 2, ideally?
Again, corner, safety.
Just whatever they didn't take.
Positions.
Fair enough. Okay.
If they take quarterback, it's got to be corner safety. I think the thing with the corner position, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't really gotten into them, but just based on tweets and what people are saying, like the really smart people, like the Eric Crockers of the world, they seem to say that while there isn't a high end talent, there's a deep. It's deep. There's depth at the position, which means
Yeah.
that if there's depth, I guess you would much rather have a guy at round 2 than you would take the guy at 12, because I don't think there's a Patrick Peterson in this draft or a Jalen Ramsey or a guy you're taking in the top 5, top 10, a Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, Jeff Okuda, right? CJ Henderson. I think there's just a lot of good players later. So I think taking one in the second round would be fantastic. And then with the safeties, I really like 2 of them. I like Richie Grant from UCF, and I like Trayvon Moehrig from TCU. Both, I think they're the best 2 coverage guys in this draft. And I value coverage more in safeties than I do tackling, especially in today's NFL. And I think they're both really versatile and really good in coverage. And for those reasons, I think Richie Grant might be available at 43 or maybe even the 3rd round. So I think those are 2 great options for them.
Okay. I think you're right. I think those are great options, players the Niners should consider. I'm going to go the other direction and think, just try to project what they are going to do. And they could. I'm going to stick with the theme of they're in win now mode. They're looking for instant contributors, not quarterbacks. That's what I think. So if they're looking for an instant contributor, they could use a nickel unless they bring back K'Wan Williams, which they could, or they envision using Dante Johnson at nickel or whatever. It seems like they need a nickel if they don't re-sign K'Wan. But the fact that Tartt's coming back, I'm not ruling out re-signing any of these guys. It seems like a lot of these, I don't know.
With the nickel, I had a tweet a few days ago. If you compare Jamar Taylor and K'Wan Williams' production, it's actually very close. And I based on training camp reports, thought, man, when K'Wan Williams went down, man, Jamar Taylor is going to be a problem. Jamar Taylor played great for the 49ers when he played. He played great
ball.
He tore his
ACL, so you don't really know if he'll be ready.
Apparently, he's going to be ready for training camp. That's what Leo says. So, and Leo knows. So that's one.
They're childhood friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one, right? That's one option. 2, like if you're looking at Jamar Taylor, a guy who didn't have a team for a while last year, and you're saying he could come and replace the kind of approximate the production that was going on. I think taking a nickel, a tough outside corner who's not like made to play outside in the NFL because he's too small, lacks athleticism, but he's a tough, hard-nosed, gritty player who's kind of sticky and man. Like you can get those kinds of players in the 4th or 5th round in every single draft. DJ Reed was exactly that. So I still think that's an option too.
Okay, so let me make my prediction. So I agree with you. If they like Taylor, if they like Johnson enough to have him back, and then they could draft a nickel on day 3 and say you don't have to contribute right away. If you do, great. So I still think they're looking for a contributor, someone who can play as a rookie. And I feel like the Niners, it's been 3 years in a row that they've spent their 2nd pick on a wide receiver. I just feel like they can't help themselves.
Can't do it. They can't do it this year.
I think they're going to take a wide receiver.
And there's a lot of good ones, man. Receiver position is my favorite position in the draft, especially the last 2 or 3 years.
Same with Kyle.
Dude, I mean, it's actually like just turning on and watching. Like there's like 15 good ones I feel like every year, and it's like, damn, I'd love to get this guy in the 2nd round. I'd love to get this guy in the 3rd round. It's just they've invested so much, and right now they're 2 for 4 on first 3 round picks. They missed on Pettis, and Hurd at this point can't be classified as anything but a miss just because of his health. And they hit on Debo and they hit on IU. You can't be batting 50%.
Some injury issues too, but he's great.
Right. So you did for them. I just like Richie James.
Me too.
I think that's a good option. Look, I said this. I still think that both Adam Humphries and Danny Amendola can come in here and do a bang-on job for the 49ers. They're going to live in 22 personnel anyway. They just need a guy who can play, give them positive production at the league minimum as a veteran, as a good, solid player, be tough, good hands. They're better than Trent Taylor was. And the Niners envisioned a role for Trent Taylor on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. This offense, when it's running its smoothest, is avoiding 3rd down anyway. So I would like Adam Humphries, maybe Amendola. I'd preferably Humphries, but Humphries is also a punt returner. I think that's an option, league minimum.
I like how adamant you are that the Niners are not going to draft a wide receiver in round 2, because that would be a big mistake. But you know how I am. I just assume I anticipate these things. And I just think Kyle Shanahan can't help himself. So, Kyle, prove me wrong, baby. Prove me wrong, because I'm fully expecting the pick to be Rondale Moore, Kadarius Toney, someone that Niner fans are going to be like, oh, my God, in Kyle's offense, he's going to be so good. And he probably will be. But
if it's I won't even
Tony?
be mad if it's Tony.
If it's
I love
Tony,
Tony. He's my favorite player in the draft. I like Rondale Moore a lot. I like Elijah Moore. These guys are fantastic. If Kyle can't help himself, I wouldn't be angry, but I don't think it's prudent.
And how they'll justify it if and when they do it is, well, we lost Kendrick Bourne. Debo Samuel's had some injury issues. We need some. And who knows if they really plan on giving Debo Samuel a second contract. Maybe that's to be determined. So they could theoretically sell it that way. Hugh Olson says 49ers are the most injured team the past 2 decades. How do we offset the injuries? Are we signing too many injured players, or is it a staff problem?
Who the heck knows? I mean, signing too many injured players. Yeah, that one you can say, right? Like Dee Ford's been managing injuries since his senior year at Auburn. Like Nick Bosa has had an injury history. Debo Samuel had an injury history. Now, do you know if those injuries are going to happen? Because there are players that are injured throughout college, coming in the NFL, bang, just injury free for the rest of their career. It's weird. I don't know what it is, because the last 2 decades goes well beyond what just John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, So I don't know what it is. I think it's a combination of bad luck. Unfortunately, we're not privy to every single piece of information. And I certainly don't have injury prevention knowledge on how you need to protect yourself. I'm sure they're doing everything they can, and they're just doing something, I guess, wrong, or maybe it's just not working out for them.
The answer to questions like this in football is always like 18 variables. But what I will say is this is the most important question facing the 49ers. This is it. And they may never find a definitive answer, but at least Jed needs to be taking this extremely seriously and doing everything he can to find a solution, because 2 decades is not a fluke. There must be things the Niners can do to make this to at least come more to like the league average. Right. There's got to be things they can do.
And the thing is, 2019, things were pretty much going perfect, but 2019 wasn't without injuries, right? You lost to Tart, you lost to Ford, you lost to Joe Staley, you lost to Kyle
2019 had a ton of injuries.
Yeah.
It just
so happened every injury was 2 to 4 weeks, guy comes back. 2 to 4 weeks, guy comes back.
True. That's true. It wasn't the high ankle parade that it was last year. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, last year was high ankle or ACL.
Yeah, that's it. And it was just like people getting rolled up on over and over again. Maybe that's just and people not being prepared.
The worst part is, like, all these guys, whether it's Raheem Mostert or any of these guys, they're just rushing back from the high ankle. And, like, naturally, like, you saw the way Raheem Mostert was playing. Like, he was playing so hard for a guy that is playing on a high ankle. Like, of course he's unfortunately going to have to go through it again. So
and like sprinting on that thing, it looks so freaking painful. And you could see him and Jeff Wilson coming back to the sideline being like, oh, I can't do one more. And then they come back out. I was really impressed by how those two gutted it out. Tough as hell. Really, dude, Tom Brady was 6th round. Russell Wilson was 3rd round. Hall of Fame Roger Staubach drafted in the 10th. And Kurt Warner UDFA. In your face, Fish.
Four examples. He got me. 4 examples.
Should the Niners go all in the draft this year and then go free agent next year when we lose these 1-year deals? Should trade back into the first so we have 2? I don't know, man.
Confused?
I'm confused. Go all in the draft this year and then go free agent next year when I don't really get it.
I'm confused.
I think what he's saying is just go big.
These 1-year deals aren't that expensive, though. That's the thing. They aren't. It's not like by losing these 1-year deals, Niners are opening up like $80 million in cap space to go all in and sign a bunch of premium players.
Well, I guess what you could say is like if I'm correct that they're looking for 2 instant contributors, the way they did last year with Kinlaw and IU, 2 starters. Maybe they do trade in from 43 up to the end of round 1 and get another guy, because maybe they do.
The other thing is, I do think there is a situation where the corner can be an instant contributor. And I forgot to mention this during the nickel conversation. I still think Emmanuel Mosley can play the nickel position on this defense. Certainly. I really do. I don't know why they didn't do it last year, and they did it the 2 years before. But I think that he's a good, solid player. He's tough. He's everything that they require for that position.
Okay, let's do the final round of predictions. Round 3. And if I could just summarize what you and I have said for the first 2 rounds, you said basically corner safety. Whatever the Niners don't take in round 1, you think they will take in round 2. These are predictions. I went real cynical and said D end again because they can't help themselves in round 1 and wide receiver again in round 2 because that's just what they do. So, what do you think round 3?
Corner safety. Corner, preferably.
So again,
I mean, look. This is all because I think quarterback is also in the round 1 conversation. So if they go quarterback, corner, safety, I like that. They go quarterback, safety, corner, I like that. If they go corner, safety, corner, I still like that. This is like the 2019 drafts receiver position. They had to go pick both Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd. Just like that, they need 2 cornerbacks.
True. Yeah,
like
if
even
they do that, that's fine.
Emmanuel Mosley's contract's only a 2-year deal. So if let's say Verrett walks next year, then you have Mosley for just on a 1-year deal, and you have what? Tim Harris, Ken Webster. What are you going to do with those guys?
Webster,
right. You need starting caliber corners, and maybe they'll go free agent bargain hunting again, but they can't keep doing this band-aid of 30-plus-year-old corners and just having them start for a couple years, give their bodies give out. Like they need a guy that's going to be kind of there. And I think that they need to take 2 guys that are going to compete. It's just like when the Packers took Josh Jackson, and Jair Alexander. Alexander at 18, Josh Jackson at 40-something. One of them worked out, one of them didn't, but they put investment into creating depth into a position. And just like that, I think this is a year for the 49ers to do it, because this is the year, because whoever they draft, there isn't a lot of pressure for him to play day 1 or be their key contributor or anything. They just need him to be a good, solid player, so there isn't much pressure on him, and eventually be their guy, whether it's the year after or the year after that. And because of that, I don't think there's a lot of pressure, and I think this is the year to go.
Okay, you make a great case. I'm gonna say that this is the spot where they draft a quarterback, and I'm basically just basing all of my predictions on history patterns. And I know things don't always go according to the patterns of the past, but Kyle Shanahan has drafted 2 quarterbacks that I'm aware of, CJ Beathard and Kirk Cousins. They were both right there, right after the 100th pick, right there. I think that's a spot Kyle likes drafting quarterbacks. I don't know how he feels about drafting quarterbacks in round 1. I'm sure he'd be willing to do it under the certain circumstances. I don't know if he has those circumstances this year. I just don't. I have a feeling that that's going to be the spot for him, because they can say in the end of round 3, maybe he's got some starter traits that can develop. But really the expectations are backup, and they've been saying they want to improve their backup position. If you take a guy there, he's not really an immediate threat to Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't bring in speculation that, you don't like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not your guy. I just feel like you lost CJ Beathard. You bring in another guy to replace him at that same spot. But I'm cynical.
Yeah.
I don't know which quarterback. Probably someone we've never heard of.
If you're taking a quarterback in round 3, again, you're not expecting him to be your franchise quarterback.
Right.
Like, come on.
What's the point? Yeah.
Like this guy, I know this guy donated you another $5 to tell you that there's 2 more quarterbacks that we forgot. Yeah, but let's look at this last season's playoffs. The final 4 quarterbacks: 7th overall pick Josh Allen, 10th overall pick Patrick Mahomes, 24th overall pick Aaron Rodgers, 3 first-round picks. Other playoff quarterbacks: 8th overall pick Ryan Tannehill, 1st overall pick Baker Mayfield. I'm trying to think who are the other quarterbacks, but they're primarily, a lot of these guys are first-round picks.
Yeah. Rick says Simi Fahoku in round 3 or 4. Dude just ran like a 4.4 something at Stanford. Have you seen him play at all?
Not really. I know who he is because Niners fans just love Stanford players. They just love them.
Of course. But you don't understand. It's like you live in Chicago. It's like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you watch Davis Mills tape, he kind of pops.
Yeah, he does. But
he does.
I don't know. I feel like Stanford position players have beside. I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
Dude, yeah, JJ Arcega Whiteside, yada yada yada. Yeah.
Kobe Fleener.
Yep.
Chris Owusu. Well, I mean, look, I
Lean
don't want to
Toilolo.
compare. I don't want to compare him to any of those players because the school
Ty
doesn't matter,
Montgomery.
and I haven't watched him enough. Right? I haven't
Ty
watched him enough.
Montgomery.
That's
Yeah.
on me. That's on me. The one thing I will say is that I don't care about the 40 times this offseason. I could care less. It feels like everybody's. I haven't seen a single 40 time above 4 or 5.
Good point.
Everybody's
Good
4
point.
4.
Good point. I don't know that you'd have to take him in round 3 or round 4, Rick. He might be there a little later. He seems like he could kind of fill the role that Jawan Jennings was supposed to fill. Bigger slot guy. If he can run like that, he can even play outside. I'd be interested. Good call. Thanks for the donation. Trey says, why haven't the Niners prioritized the backup quarterback position with more urgency, knowing Jimmy is injury prone? I mean, they said they would.
Because nobody prioritizes the backup quarterback position more than 49ers fans.
And you can't spend big money on the backup spot when you're spending big money on the starting spot. I mean, we've talked about the percentages. You can't do that.
Sense, right? It doesn't make sense. The reason Cleveland's able to pay Case Keenum is because Baker Mayfield makes biscuits.
Yes, and the Raiders, they spent a lot of money on Marcus Mariota last year, and they spent a good chunk of money on Derek Carr. It wasn't the best plan, and you saw they got rid of Marcus Mariota. So, yeah, I think the only way you splurge on a backup is if your quarterback is cheap, and that's not Jimmy.
No, the funnier thing to me is that they've also spent a lot of marketing money on trying to promote Marcus Mariota as the biggest trade piece this offseason. Like, what?
But okay, what he's saying here is they have let some good backups walk. Well, let's be specific. They didn't go after Mitchell Trubisky.
But none of those guys are backups, right? Andy Dalton's starting somewhere. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the presumptive starter in Washington.
Trubisky's a
Mitchell
backup.
Trubisky is the only one. And
So
to me, it feels like it feels like Trubisky just chose the best possible situation for himself. Trubisky has a massive accuracy problem.
Explain this.
Well, people
Explain
thought Josh Allen had.
Yeah, exactly.
People thought Josh Allen had a massive accuracy problem. And then what happened? He improved. So I think Trubisky, 1, looked at the Bills as a place where he can improve that. And 2, and this is just me kind of speculating here, but I think this is a decent kind of thought process. Brian Daboll, I think, is going to be a head coach next year. He's going to get a head coaching job. And I don't know if Mitchell Trubisky is this sly, but if he is, credit to
his
him.
agent
I think he took the $2 million to go to Brian Daboll, make sure Brian Daboll likes him, right? If Brian Daboll likes him, like if Brian Daboll likes the way he works, and there's a good impression, next year when Brian Daboll gets a head coaching job, he might bring Mitchell Trubisky with him because he's still young. He still has the physical traits to be a starter. He just lacks confidence and accuracy, 2 of the more important things that quarterbacks need. But if he's able to gain those 2 things and he's comfortable with Daboll and Daboll's comfortable with him, Trubisky might be a starter in a much better environment when he starts. Might be able to start in a much better environment when he starts again.
It's more of a restart there. Whereas you come to the Niners, like they're not. Like, what's the future there for you? Kyle's not going anywhere.
And if Jimmy goes down, they're going to be right there in the middle of a playoff race. And if Trubisky doesn't play well, he's done. That's it. His time in the league, the way people think of him.
Look, I said that I think the Niners are going to go quarterback in round 3. I don't know which quarterback that'll be. I don't know if Davis Mills will be available. It's starting to talk like he's going to be a round 2 pick. I don't know if Kellen Mond will be available. It's starting to seem like he could be a round 1 pick. So it could be someone that everyone's expecting to be a round 5 or 6 pick who was just magically picked in round 3, kind of the way Beathard was. But I don't know if Kyle has the. I mean, why do that when you have Josh Rosen on the roster? Man, I don't do that. With Watson's issues, we need quarterback with our first, trade up or back. Don't matter. We got to get someone we're comfortable starting by trade deadline. I don't know, man. Maybe
it's not someone starting by the trade deadline. You can't have a 2 quarterback season with the players they have. It's got to be 1 starter for 16 games or 17.
1981, Bill Walsh went DB, Super Bowl. We don't do that. Edge, cornerback, wide receiver. Quarterback, Kyle won't wait 3 rounds to get his piece. LOL. We draft up front. Grant's on fire today. Thank you. What I don't really look. I sort of understood that text.
I didn't understand it one bit. I just understood that this guy complaining that Kyle won't do what Bill Walsh did, and he's with me that he wants to go DB.
No, it's a good point, that part. The whole thing, I appreciate you. Well, all I'm saying is what he's pointing out is that in 1981, they went DB1. That was Ronnie Lott. The second pick was a nose tackle, John Hardy. But the third pick, Eric Wright, starting corner on that team. Fourth pick,
damn good one,
Williamson. Right? Yeah, hell of a player. Third pick, Carlton Williamson, starting safety for that team. They did what you're saying to do. And if you look at what the Buccaneers did this past season, winning the Super Bowl, they had a lot of youth in the secondary. The secondary is the kind of position, the kind of place where you want as many 22 and 23-year-old dudes as possible, because it's all about speed and reaction and all that stuff.
Right.
So,
And
I'm into it.
On your
I like
defense,
it.
right? The Niners like the older veteran cornerbacks because they ask them to play zone, so they just want them to play smart and clean, and they prefer that. But I think that their defense is evolving a little bit.
Yes.
I think it evolved last year. And I don't even look at those guys and say they need to start the way those guys did in 1981 because the Niners have a starting secondary. Jimmy Ward, Jaquaski Tart, Jason Verrett will start week 1 without fail unless there is a injury that occurs. So because of that, I personally just think that just draft guys for basically you need guys you can develop for the future. And instead of developing a 6th-round pick in Tim Harris, who seems to be someone that you can't really rely upon to be a starter next year, why not draft a guy with high-end physical traits in round 2 or round 3 or round 1 and develop him?
Real quick. Rich says, Grant, swarm in Levi's and tell Shanahan to give you a raise and flip the page on Garoppolo. Next chapter equals Super Bowl. Rich, I wish I could, but Joe Montana has gone on the record saying the Niners need to turn the page and get some youth at the quarterback position. If Kyle won't listen to Joe, as much as he loves my Mondays with Vish and my YouTube channel, I just don't think I'm going to be able to get through to him. But Rich, I'll keep trying. I'll wear my 501s. I'll swarm into Levi's and I'll see what I can do. I'll wear the right pair of Levi's because that matters. Okay, so that's basically it for our show. But if you wouldn't mind, Vish, would you real quick just give people the Cliff Notes version real quick on why you like the Jaquaski Tart signing, people who weren't here at the beginning?
Yeah, I love it. And it's partially because I think from the roster before Tart was signed, I thought they only had one starting safety. For whatever reason, Tarvarius Moore was hyped up as the next Ed Reed midseason. He's physically a very gifted player, but I think there's just a lot of his game that still needs to be refined, where I don't think that this team with the aspirations they had could have relied upon him for this as a starting safety. And I know, and I outlined this before, right? Everybody hates Marcel Harris in this fan base. They say Marcel Harris takes bad angles to the ball. They say Marcel Harris makes mistakes in coverage, but Tarvarius Moore does those same exact things. And so because of that, I think Marcel Harris is a damn good backup safety and a good special teamers. I just didn't think they could rely upon that. Tart offers phenomenal versatility. Tart offers the ability to play free safety, the ability to play strong safety, the ability to cover man. He can do everything. And for those reasons, I just think this is huge for the 49ers. And I think, look, Grant, I think we both agree, right, that this is going to be a smaller level contract, at least.
Yeah, it's a low risk signing. It's a 1-year deal.
Right.
It's a low risk signing. I mean, that's cool. He's had success here. Yeah, he's missed games, but he's only 29. He's not 30 yet. He just turned 29. And we saw what Verrett did at 29. If he could have one season of durability for $2 million or something, great.
And guess what? If he doesn't, even in the 9 games he plays, he's still playing at a high level. He played really well when he played last year. He did.
Yeah, if you're paying him vet min, you can afford to have 7 games of Jaquaski Tart. Just give us what you got for what you can do. That's a good point, man. When you're paying him $6 million, it's tough to stomach the games that he misses. But now, hey, man, you're gravy. You're starter and you're gravy. Yeah. And the backup they kind of like anyway. Moore, he's not terrible.
And if you're D'Amico Ryans, you now have 2 safeties who don't really have much of a weakness to their games. They're both good in man. They're both good in zone. They're both really smart. They're both great tacklers. They take smart angles to the ball. They're both just really, really good players.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody is buffering.
Yeah, why are you buffering so much, man? Quit buffering. I mean, Vish, have you seen the new kid Amin, the 13-year-old on the phone? He's hella funny, man. He's 13 and he comes on and he's like, man, I don't get it, man. What is Kyle Shanahan doing? He's hella funny. You would like him. Anyway. Everyone's like, oh, mini Vish. Anyway, Vish, thank you so much for coming on today and giving me your time. Someone said we should do this Monday through Fridays. You don't understand. Vish is a student. He is taking time out of his work week to just drop gems for us. So Vish, thank you for giving me some of your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. And if you want to check us out Monday through Friday, Blake and Vish Sports is usually posting Monday through Friday. So check us out.
That's right.
On YouTube.
Vish got his own platform. You got to support because you love Vish, right? Well, subscribe. I didn't drop the link in the description, but I'll put it up there now and in all subsequent videos so you can get it. Although I'm sure all you guys are already subscribing, right?
For sure.
Right.
And we appreciate all of you that have. And then Grant, if you're willing, I'm down to sit here and take a couple questions. I have time.
We've had so many questions. If there's a couple more that people want to drop in, fine. But we've taken like 20 of them. Let's see. I'll give you 30 seconds.
I'm excited about Tart coming back. I think it was massive.
It's interesting how the Niners are able to bring it all back. I didn't think they were able to. We'll see if they can have better injury luck and if they can prove themselves the way they did 2 years ago. They did last 2 years ago. There were very low expectations, and they worked very hard that year. They really proved themselves. Let's see if they can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
They had a chip on their shoulder. Yeah, what's your channel name?
It's Blake and Vish Sports.
Hold on, let me get it real quick. Let me get it real quick on your. Let me get it real quick. Hold on. I'm going to drop it in the comment section so people can have it. Boom. Hold on. All right, here we go. Here's Vish's channel right there. Boom. That's the link. Darius says Vish is mad cute. Send him a kiss for me. Oh man, Darius, you did it yourself. You sent it with a $4 donation. So I don't know. That's simping now.
Yeah,
you really,
I appreciate that.
All right. Troy Warner, yes or no? I don't know. He's got good bloodlines. Let's see the Niners just re-sign Fred first before we start talking about Troy. Can we just re-sign Fred first?
Yeah, that's the next move. It's like the Niners don't get a break, right? It's like they probably were losing sleep figuring out how to get each and every one of these guys signed, and now you have to find a way to fit a massive extension to a player who deserves it as much as anybody in Fred Warner. And right. Fred Warner's dad is telling you too, Grant.
I know.
I saw that.
I was like, dude, I'm on your side. Like, did you read the article? I said it would be shameful if they didn't re-sign Fred Warner. Shameful. But people don't read articles anymore. Last Second Sports, Jesse Naylor says, Vish, are you not worried about Williams' injury history? Earlier, he said that Williams has missed 40 games in his career.
But it's been like, for the most part, he had one season where he played 10 games, but it's always been 12 games plus. I mean, am I worried that Trent Williams is going to get another tumor in his head and he's going to miss an entire season? Well, okay, if that happens, well, then sue me. I have no control of that. But I think in terms of football injuries, there hasn't really been an ACL. There hasn't been a torn labrum. There hasn't been injuries that, like, man, he's going to miss the rest of the season yet, not touch wood on his career. Yeah. So I think because of that, if you're getting 14, 15 games, and look, he hasn't had incentive to play hurt too. Like, this is a tough, really tough player, but why would you sacrifice your body or anything to play for the Washington football team? Why?
That's a good point.
He's had these injuries that can be, I think personally, given how tough he is, he might be able to play through them if the Niners are and miss a playoff run and stuff.
Well, I think he needs to play through them one way or another. I mean, they just cashed him out, and I think he better play. All I'm saying, if he plays and they're a competitive team, then they can justify it. So let's see. I'm open-minded.
Here's the bottom line, Grant, and I think this is the bottom line to this conversation. They could not have justified letting this guy to walk, especially if the Chiefs signed him. You don't let Hall of Fame players walk out the door, and this is a Hall of Fame player. Like, even DeForest Buckner, like, they let him walk, but DeForest Buckner is not a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer when he retires.
They traded him. They got something back for him.
Right. This guy is.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. All right. Okay.
Like, the All-Pro, I've also seen the All-Pro conversation, and I hate it because, I'm sorry, Grant, you're a member of the media. I love you. But, man, the media has too much control. How the hell is this guy not an All-Pro player? What have you been watching for the last 10 years?
I don't vote.
You should be voting, Grant. You would have voted Trent Williams.
Come on. No,
but Grant, the worry with you is that Ross Dwelly would then get an All-Pro vote, and like as much as everybody loves Ross, like it's like that one beat writer in Buffalo or whoever decided to give Cole Beasley as many All-Pro votes as DK Metcalf.
Hey, he had to slide it in there. Respect.
I don't know how that happened. I like Cole Beasley, but he went from underrated to overrated overnight.
That's true. Delonda Green says the way they are set up for free agency, they can't take a quarterback in round 1 or 2. Or they can. I'm having a tough time reading. I'm tired. The way they set up free agency, they can take a quarterback in round 1 or 2. Who
absolutely.
you think would Kyle love and have success here long term? I don't know, man. Tom Brady.
Yo, that's the age old question. Only God knows.
Yeah.
They never let him walk into the door, East Bay. You're better than this. Come on. You're better than this.
Yeah.
They never even opened up the door for him. They said, sorry, Tom, door's not open here. They opened it up for Trent Williams. They let him come into the restaurant. They treated him like a VIP.
He better play. He better not be missing 5 games a year. That's all I'm saying. Dude better play. Because the Niners have bad luck, dude. They pay guys like a $20 million signing bonus, and then they just don't get that production. Question for Vish, NFC, AFC Championship predictions. And Super Bowl right now. Pre-draft. Right now. Who's making
it? AFC, I think the Cleveland Browns will be one team in the AFC Championship.
No hesitation.
No hesitation on them.
No hesitation.
No hesitation on them. I think the other team in the AFC, I'll take the easy way around and just go Kansas City. I think they'll be in there with Cleveland. And then the NFC Championship, I'm going to say in the NFC, I'm going to say the Rams as one team. Just be loyal to my guy, Matthew Stafford, just because I think I just want him to change the narrative and prove people wrong. And then, man, I want to say 49ers, but I don't want to jinx it. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to take the easy way out again and just say the Bucks. I'm thinking 49ers, but I'm not going to jinx them right here. This is next level, Grant. You don't understand. If I said 49ers today, it would be jinxed.
I'm not making a prediction yet. I got to wait on that one. But thanks for doing this. Grant, what's your prediction for UCLA and March Madness? They're going to go all the way. And I base this on the fact that I've watched UCLA for one game this year, and I thought they were pretty good. So they're just going to shock the world. Tom says, you ever listen to Bay Area rap? Back ready to go. Do you?
Yo. Wait. I messed up. Tomorrow Thomas brought up, that was my team. I'll actually change it. It's going to be Tampa Bay and the football team. But I just wish the football team didn't have Fitztragic at quarterback.
Yeah, they're probably going to end up with Kellen Mond, and then Kellen Mond's going to be the first rookie quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl. And God, it's going to be such a good year for me.
Really?
Probably.
What if it's Sam Darnold? How would you feel about that?
Oh man, I have to delete some tweets. But I never delete my tweets, and then every other day I'm just getting like receipts pulled on me on Twitter.
Today I saw that you said DeForest Buckner was a really bad football player.
Yeah, I said that in week 7 of his rookie year, and I was like, that was a mistake. But hey, give me credit. I don't delete my tweets.
No. I think that's I think that's the most likable thing about you, Grant. Your personality is just straight up and real. And you just say what you say, you believe it for 1 week, and then by the next week you change it, but it doesn't matter.
Hey, I can't.
But I will say this about Buckner. I would have disagreed with you based on his rookie season, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was crazy, because that run defense his rookie season was pathetic. And that was mostly because of their scheme. Their scheme was really, really, really bad. But if you're Grant and you're just looking to troll and you're looking to get a kick out of things, you can make a pretty damn decent argument why picking DeForest Buckner at 7 in 2016 with that horrible run defense was a bad idea.
I don't see it, but no, he did finish the year really strong. And in retrospect, 6 quarterback sacks, 18 quarterback hits, playing next to who? Who was it?
Eric Armstead was probably the only other pretty good player on that line.
Yeah. And was
that the line with Doomerville?
Yeah, Doomerville and stuff. Like, it was actually.
I mean, have you seen Grant? These old 49er great edge rushers keep getting signed, like Jeremiah Atu, whatever. He got signed again. Yeah.
What?
Cassius Marsh is lingering. Cassius Marsh is lingering. Oh, Marcus Martin was a disappointment, man. I remember when people said that was like the biggest steal of the draft. He was at the draft. Mike Mayock called him a young pup at 20 years old. He's just got to get bigger and stronger. But
he says I'm wrong all the time. That's not true, because I contradict myself all the time, so I'm right half the time.
I mean, here's the thing, though. I'm sure you could also find a tweet from 2016 where Grant says DeForest Buckner is one of the 49ers franchise players. So just depends on which thing you want to say. Grant, make sure he covers all his bases here.
I'm a pro. No, they're getting me from stuff from 5 years ago before I had my formula down. The King James.
That's okay, though, Grant.
Do you think the Watsonship has officially sailed? Okay, let's go out on this one. If you're the Niners, do you wait for stuff to clear up or give up and draft a quarterback? I think that's a hell of a question.
Yeah, that's $1 million question.
I guess you wait until the draft. And if there's clarity before the draft, then sure. Otherwise, you kind of have to move on.
So my thing is, if you wait till the draft, right, there's no clarity, and there's a guy you really like in round one, whether your guy is Justin Fields, whether your guy is Mac Jones, whether your guy is Zach Wilson, he's available, you say screw Watson, you go get him. You like him that much, you go get him. Let's say your guy who you really like is not there, and there's a guy you're lukewarm on, like you're lukewarm on Mac Jones, and he's sitting right there. You don't take the guy you're lukewarm on at quarterback. You just take the best player available, whoever you feel that is, and you try to ride it out with the Jimmy situation and see if the Deshaun Watson once again presents itself.
And let's go out on this last thing. I think Vish and I agree that if Kellen Mond is available when the Niners pick in round 2, that would be a terrific pick for the Niners. Do we agree on that?
With that?
We don't agree on much, but we agree on that. Okay, so that's something for you guys to think about until the next.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Mond as Grant, but I think Mond is a good pick at 43. I wouldn't take him in the first round, but I think he's a good pick at 40.
I never wanted to take him in the first round either. It's just when you get into I thought he was a third round prospect, and then second round sound good to me. I mean, when you compare him to guys like Kaepernick in the past, another second round picks, but when you really get in the quarterback market, it seems like they all get pushed up the board if they have any kind of buzz. And if you really want one of those guys, you kind of almost have to reach. So if they feel like they got to take him where they got to take him, I won't criticize them for it. But yeah, you want to take him in round 2, not round 1, if possible.
Do you think so I think we're actually where we differ is where we rank him amongst the quarterbacks. I think he's somewhere between the 5th or the 6th best quarterback in this draft.
And that's just because I think I'm more down on the other guys than you are. I'm not necessarily so much more enthusiastic about Mond than you are. I think we both see basically Alex Smith. Basically.
Yeah, I see.
But Alex Smith had a long career, made a lot of money.
So I see Alex Smith's play style with a stronger arm.
Yeah.
But mechanically, he reminds you so much of Kaepernick, doesn't he? It's kind of hard to miss.
True, but he does have a quicker release than Kaepernick. I'll just say that.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Because Kaepernick had the long baseball windup.
I think he throws with more touch, short, intermediate than Kaepernick.
And he doesn't have Kaepernick's wheels. Kaepernick could really, really, really run. I mean, that guy could really run.
Yeah, and he doesn't really. He has a strong arm, but Kaepernick just Kaepernick could throw a 20-yard out on a flat line and stuff like that. He had a ridiculous arm.
Yeah, I mean, his raw tools were so impressive that there was a reason that Ron Jaworski, after like 2 months, was like, "Oh my God, this guy's going to be the best quarterback of all time." And when he said it, a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I know what he means. I know exactly what he's talking about." It wasn't crazy when he said it. Yeah.
The other thing Kaepernick showed was he showed incredible poise throughout that playoff run. Like what he did, I feel like it's gotten kind of diminished, but I don't think people realize like first playoff start, first throw, pick 6 to Sam Shields against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, goes on to have one of the great playoff games of all time. Then you go down 17-0 in what was maybe the loudest stadium in the NFL at the time, the Georgia Dome, against the Atlanta Falcons, who were the number 1 seed, and you come back. And if you remember that game, they made it a point not to let Kaepernick get outside of the pocket and read option. He beat them from the pocket, throwing the football. Then the Super Bowl, the light thing happened, but they also went down like a bajillion points to 3, and he brought them all the way back into that game. And I don't think he necessarily choked or anything at the end. I just don't think there were very good play calls called for him to do anything at the end.
Yeah, no, if you remember too, it was like the guy who was supposed to be the greatest quarterback of all time was Andrew Luck. And he was great. But when Kaepernick came on the field, you couldn't deny that arm is stronger, faster runner than Luck. And people were like, wow. I mean, that's why people went over the top with Kaepernick, because it was like, man, maybe Kaepernick has a higher ceiling than Andrew Luck.
And somebody brought it up in the comment section. Yeah, the first playoff run was phenomenal. Then the second playoff run, win a game late on the road in frozen Green Bay.
I was there.
Go to Carolina and beat Cam Newton and the Panthers. And then the Seattle game, the 49ers offense could do nothing against that Seattle defense. They were literally in that game because of Colin Kaepernick. Yeah.
He was in it. They were in it because of him. And then he had a bunch of turnovers in the end. But really, until the fourth quarter, he was money. And Jimmy's never had a playoff game like what Kaepernick's done. That's the thing.
Nothing close.
Kaepernick's
playoff runs were literally like he was possibly the best player on the offense.
4 road playoff wins. I don't think Steve Young has that much. So
I think there's a lot of young quarterbacks that didn't have the early career success. Now things fell off for Kaepernick, and they were for a variety of different reasons. But I just thought that needed to be touched on because what he did for those 2 years was special.
Fish, they wanted only.
What's in? I got an only Shans.
Vish, I gotta run and put up a Jaquaski Tart article. Thank you everyone for watching. We still have 1,100 viewers. You guys are the greatest. Vish, thank you so much for your generosity every week. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure, one more time, everyone follow Vish on YouTube. I just posted the link. Do not send us any more donations. We're out of here. I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone.